Hello everybody, vanburman here, and welcome to another Kickstarter episode. This one is a bit of a bonus one to my other one that I will have put up as well. So these both will be going up at the same time. And yeah, this one is a bit of a different one. Something, RPG Maker games are something which I'm quite clued up on, and something that I definitely have a high interest in. So there's one I want to show you, which is The Legend of Kindara, which is on Kickstarter at the minute, and it's got 24 days to go with a very high target goal, and it does have quite a few problems with it, but yeah, anyway, don't let me tell you about the game. Let's listen to the creator himself say a couple of words about the game.
Hi, my name is Devin Varesco. I am the project lead of Legend of Kindara. Legend of Kindara is an RPG Maker game which features a fantasy world and rich dialogue and storytelling with Japanese cultural references. I've been interested in making games for a while, and this RPG Maker is pretty nice for making a story-driven game. So you play as Hurricane. Hurricane is this hero who he's trying to save the world, and he makes friends while doing it. So that's rather cliche, but I think there's some ways that I can make it fun and a little different from the usual. I'm making it so that you can interact with a lot of objects, and instead of starting in some ruined town or something, you're actually starting out as a student at a local dojo. So that's kind of where things start off, and why don't I go ahead and kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what I've accomplished so far.
So he said that it's a cliche, this story, and yet he's going along with it anyway, but he's going to add some fun ideas. It smacks of desperation, unfortunately. I don't know whether he clearly has a story or not. He said he's got rich storytelling, but I mean, this is something I've read through, and we're just going to look through some of the details on the game, and you'll see what I mean. So we know it's his first game. From what I've seen, he probably hasn't had too much experience with RPG Maker VX before. It's going to be set in a manga style graphics, which is what RPG Maker VX is at the minute. I haven't seen any custom graphics yet from it, but we'll see. His also estimate is the fourth quarter in 2015, so he's almost saying it's going to take him 2 years to release, and he wants $12,000. Yeah, that's right, $12,000. That's a huge amount of money. I think maybe he's planning on paying himself wages to make this game, which is what it looks like when he says paying the game designer, paying other major contributors, musicians, artists, etc. Yeah, okay, I'll agree with that. There is money that needs to go into music and artists as well. And yeah, he's saying at the minute it is in development and everything is in early access. I hardly think early access is the right word to use. Maybe sketch stage might be more likely. So he wants to do, original soundtrack. He wants to have a dating romance feature where you can win the affection of a lady. I thought it was going to be highly story driven. I mean, you're diluting the story there by giving such choices. Oh well, never mind. He's also gone for stretch goals, but quite frankly, these are a bit irrelevant because of the fact that it's just not going to reach the target anyway. But we've got one which is $20,000 to make original characters and tile sets. It doesn't cost $6,000 to make original characters and tile sets. You've just got to know where, you haven't got to know where to go. You don't need that sort of money to do that. You've not got that many characters. You're not going to have that many different locations that you can't get a custom-made tile set that will encompass more than just a world map, for example. More money for expansion as well, and anything over will go towards the sequel, prequel, and a HD remix or a 3D HD remix. He's got real big plans for this game. So these are some of the screenshots. They're all basic RPG Maker stuff, of course. That's what it's going to be like at the minute. Nothing strikes or stands out as being amazing in these. One thing I should say is I think he has downloaded the Samurai pack for RPG Maker, so at least he's actually sort of kept in tune with what he wants to do. I believe it was on offer for about £5 or so, but still, that's not really the point. But it's nice that he's put in something else other than just stock in there. And yeah, basically him just saying that it's all or nothing. But yeah, that's all really. There's nothing really more in the risks and challenges. But for $12,000, it's just not going to happen. We'll have a quick look at some of the gameplay. It's pretty normal stuff, to be honest. It's nice that he's already put different options in the game so far. But the fact that you're gonna need, what was it, $22,000 before we're gonna have custom characters. All of this is extremely basic. Obviously, he's got the front sideways system. Luckily enough, he's used, I think he's used Janfly's battle engine though, which is good. It's a good system. As you can see from the world map, it's not terribly brilliant. I mean, the fact he's crammed everything in on a very small island doesn't help. Considering that's a starting location, you need to give the character room to stretch their legs. But in fairness, the way he's summed his game up, the frontward battle system would play a part, would work. He just, I don't know, he needs to make some changes to that if it's going to be successful. Once again, this is something which, considering as he set the bar so high to get the custom graphics and music, I just think, this is something you could either do with a lot less funding or just do in your spare time. I mean, if he's planning to take 2 years to release it anyway, even with the funding, you're obviously not going to be putting a lot of time into it every week. So quickly, some of the stuff. In fairness, he has given $2, which gets you full access to the game when it comes out upon release as a digital download, and doesn't include expansion packs, which is nice. A very cheap price to get the game, so he's not overestimated in that sense. He's probably slightly underestimated, if I'm honest, because you want to put some value on your game rather than $2, which is practically nothing, which is about £1.25 or something. So then we've got Game Access Plus, so you get basically game expansions, if there are expansions, of course, because they're part of the stretch goals. So, but not sequels. So they're obviously going to be added games, full-on games. So for $10 you get early access, which basically means you get to join the beta. $25 early access music, so you will get this game soundtrack when it's released, as well as a limited edition track for an extra $15, really, an extra $20 more than just the game. Well, an extra $23 more than just the game. $100 gets you your name and nickname featured in a special thanks section in the credits. Wait, so just to be in the credits as a contributor, you've got to pledge $100. Right. Okay. $250. Everything as before, but you get a t-shirt. And your name goes to the top of the special credit in thanks. Right, okay. Don't know how he's going to sort that out then if he gets many people doing the $250 one. Then we've got the $1,000 one, which is the Angel Contributor. Everything as before. You get your own in-game angel statue with your own text on it as well. Wow. And they also get a poster. You choose between 2 posters. So he's not mentioned anything about worldwide delivery or physical delivery in there. So we don't know if it's going to be shipped out or if you're just going to have to be able to download it. And then, of course, we've got the $5,000 or more. And remember as well, these have unlimited amount of backers. So he's going to be willing to do lots of these, lots of statues, lots of contributors. So $5,000, you will receive a handwritten thank you note from the project lead on a custom character sketch. You may choose any character in any facial expression in any pose, but nothing inappropriate will be allowed. You will also receive a limited edition 12-page or more printed concept art book from the game artists. That is a heck of a lot of money for not a lot in return, let's be honest. I mean, is he writing on a sheet of gold with a silver pen? Well, I suppose you have to use a sword or something, wouldn't you? I don't know. Anyway, still, that's a lot of money for not a lot, if I'm honest. And finally, the risks and challenges. As I mentioned before, he just says that a lot of the stuff's not going to be made by him, and he might make mistakes in how he spends his money, but human error there is basically what he's saying. He's saying that it might not get funded, and if it doesn't get funded, he won't refund anyone. The game company won't be refunding anyone that pledges, so I don't think he has a PayPal option to pledge. The project obviously will be cancelled if the funding doesn't fulfill itself. And he's willing to postpone the project for up to a year with circumstances. Of course, circumstances get in the way, but he doesn't need 2 years to make the game anyway, so no sympathy there. No rewards will be offered if the goal isn't met. That's an obvious one. It's something he doesn't even need to put in. If you know what Kickstarter is and you're pledging, you know how Kickstarter works. He's also saying that you won't get your reward if you don't send him the necessary information. Of course, the great thing about Kickstarter is when it's funded, you can send out a survey to your backers and to different tier backers asking for the information that you need. So it's all very easily done. And yeah, basically he might sell some other stuff after the game's release that's in the rewards, which is obvious, but he's not said anything about price matching or anything like that, so we don't know. He might try and sell it cheaper when the game comes out. But then once again, this is going to be another failed project, unfortunately. I do like to see RPG Maker games do well, and you know, the idea of a samurai based RPG Maker game is not bad. I mean, there are many things to do with how the RPG Maker program works that could make this a really interesting game. If you made it very single player, so you just had one member in your party, for example, then you know, you could perhaps do something really creative with how the battle system worked and how the sword slashes are important to damage enemies, and they might have certain weak points that you could set up. I mean, that would take a bit of knowledge of the system and using scripts and things, but it could be quite an interesting concept. Still, he's not really touched on any of that himself, and I don't know, he seems rather, the whole project seems rather arrogant. It really does seem like trying to pull on people to get money and knowing that they're not going to get value out of it. Once again, he's someone that's not connected to his Facebook. It's his first one that he's created. He's not backed anything. Obviously, that company doesn't exist as of yet because he hasn't made anything through it. And he's really given us nothing on the story as such, apart from he's a samurai and he can fall in love with up to 4 women. If that's something that interests you, click on the link below and check out the project. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't like to criticize people because I know how hard it is to go make a game, but you've got to be realistic when you're asking people for money on Kickstarter, and some of it is a bit of a joke. It sort of falls into bit defense category, I would say, rather than the first game, which I can't remember what it was. Something about making a video about how men are portrayed in video games, but still. Anyway, thank you much for watching this episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. As I always say, if you've got any projects that you want me to have a look at, leave them down in the comments below. If they're humorous enough, if I can say enough about them, then I'll make a video. If not, I won't. Anyway guys, thank you much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.